and let's try to solve our first question on codechef. So the question is chef and eat. By the way, you can find the link to the problem in the description. So check out the question on codechef. So let's try to read the question. So during Eid, it's a tradition that each father gives his kids money which they can spend on entertainment. Chef has n coins. Let's denote the value of coin I by Vi. Since today is Eid, Chef is going to give one coin to each of his two children. He wants the absolute value of the difference between the values of coins given to the two children to be as small as possible so that he would be as fair as possible. Help Chef by telling him the minimum possible difference between the values of the coins given to the two children. Of course, Chef cannot give the same coin to both the children. So the question is, there is a person, a father, who has two children, and he wants to distribute some coins to them. The only condition is he wants to be as fair as possible. That is, the difference between the values of the coins given to both the kids should be as minimum as possible. So the question seems pretty easy. So let's try to see the input, output, and the constraints section given in the problem. So the input goes like this. The first line of the input contains a single integer t denoting the number of test cases. Okay, so each test case, that is the description of t test cases, follows. So for every test case, there is a first line which contains just a single integer n. The second line contains n space separated integers v1, v2 up to vn. Okay, and the output section says that we need to print a single line containing just one integer, which will be the minimum possible difference. So let's check the constraints given in the question. The question has maximum of t is equal to 100, that is there are maximum of 100 test cases, and for each test case the value of n, that is the number of coins, is between 2 and 10 raised to 5, and also the sum of n in all test cases does not exceed 5 into 10 raised to 5. So we'll not bother about these details like the sum of n in all test cases. So, and also the maximum value of coin will not exceed 10 raised to 6. So we'll just check out the first example given. Example input says there are two test cases, and for first test case the number of coins is 3 and the values of those 3 coins are 1, 4 and 2, and the output for the first test case is 1, and for the second test case the value of n is 3 and the 3 values are 1, 3 and 3. So let's try to solve this question. Let's try to just figure out why the answer for first test case is 1. So the coins are 1, 4 and 2. So the minimum possible difference is 1 because the chef gives the coin with value 1 to his first child and coin with value 2 to the second child. So the answer is 2 minus 1, which equals 1. So why not giving coin with value 4 and 1 or coin with value 4 and 2? The reason for that is simply because the minimum possible difference will be with 2 and 1, which is 1. So if instead of choosing 1 and 2, if the father has chosen 4 and 2, the difference would have been 2. Similarly, if 1 and 4 was chosen, the difference would have been 3. So the minimum possible was 1 and 2, which gives the result as 1. Similarly, in the second test case, there are 3 coins, 1, 3 and 3, and the minimum difference comes with 3 and 3, which is obviously 0. So the time limit is 1 second. Let's just try to solve this question. So I'll just open up my Sublime Text. Okay, so I'm going to code the solution to this problem in C++. So I'll start typing, that is #include bits / standard C++.h. This is the header file. Namespace standard. Okay, so okay, the input says that the first line of input contains a single integer t. So declare t, which is of type integer. We'll take that as input and just iterate over t test cases using a while loop. Now the first line of each test case contains a single integer n. So we'll say int n. We'll take that as an input. Now that we have got the size of our input, we'll store these n values in some container, which is going to be vector in this case. So C++ has a standard vector, so which is of type integer. So let's just input our n values, that is using a for loop for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. We'll just input those values using v of I. Let me just define the size of this vector that is declared, that is v of n. So we've just taken the size of the input, which is n, this n, and we have taken those n values using this for loop. Okay, so let's just go through once how we're going to solve this question. So the basic approach should be we need to find the minimum difference, right, in the given array. So the best way to do that is by sorting the array first. That is, the elements of this vector should be sorted, and once they are sorted either in ascending or descending order, we simply need to iterate over the array and find keep comparing two consecutive values and store the minimum difference between those two consecutive values. So let me just start coding and you'll figure out in a minute why this approach works. So we have taken the input. Let's just first sort the array using sort function, which is an inbuilt function in C++ that C++ provides. So we are providing the starting and ending. So sort between what ranges? So we need to sort the complete array or the complete vector, I must say. So v dot begin and the ending is v dot end. Okay, this will just sort this array, and this sort by default sorts the array in an ascending order. So we have just sorted the array. Now we just need to iterate over this sorted vector. For comparing, let's just declare two more variables called min and one more variable called temp, which stores the temporary result. So our final output will be stored in this min. So we need the value to be as minimum as possible, the difference between the values, that is the values of coins. So I'll declare this value minimum greater than the maximum possible value of any coin, which is 10 raised to 6. So I'll declare this as 10 raised to 7, so 7 zeros. Okay. For starting the comparison, we'll say if v of I, that is if the current value, the value at current index is less than the minimum, we'll replace this minimum with this current value. Oh, first we'll get the difference between two consecutive elements, and that will be stored in temp, that is temp is equal to v of I minus v of I minus 1. So once we write this, okay, the index should be starting from 1 because we have v of I minus v of I minus 1. So if we start it from 0, that is if we take this value as 0, so 0 minus 1 will be minus 1, which will give an error because minus 1 does not exist. The index starts with 0. So we need to be careful here and start the index from 1, so that this gives v of 1 minus v of 0, that is comparing 4 minus 1 first and then 2 minus 4. Actually this will be 1 to 4 after sorting, so 2 minus 1 and then 4 minus 2. So okay, this has the difference between two consecutive elements. Now just check the condition if this difference is less than the already existing minimum value, which is stored in min. If that is true, then a new minimum will be the new difference, which is stored in temp. Okay, we'll check this condition for all the possible consecutive pairs, that is from I equal to 1 to I less than n. After this, we'll have our result in minimum. So we'll simply just print that. So output, let's just check what the output says, what the output has to be. So for each test case, print a single line containing one integer, which is the minimum possible difference. Yeah. So we'll output that minimum. And since there can be more than one test cases, that is there are various test cases, will print it on new line as it is given in this output section, that is 1 and then 0. So I'll use endl. Okay, this looks good. Let's try to submit this question. I'll save this file and quickly submit the problem. So I'll copy this, and you can see I've already selected the language, that is the default language is C++. Okay, hopefully everything will work fine. Okay, let me just submit it. So it is running on various test cases, and we'll know in a short while whether our answer is okay. So it is the correct answer, and the execution time was 0.13. So hope you like this video, and let me know in the comment section if you liked the video, and give it a like if you liked it. Thank you.